of the most interesting intellectual endeavors you could embark on at our current time. It is right at the intersection of AI and natural language processing or machine learning. And so when we think about what are sort of the most interesting manifestations of our human intelligence, I think language comes up at the top for in most answers. It is very inextricably linked to thought and also information, and we're in an information age, so natural language processing is an immensely useful piece of technology. At the same time, deep learning is similar in the sense that it is very broadly applicable. You can do speech recognition with deep learning, you can do image classification, and you can do a lot of different tasks inside natural language processing. So deep learning is also a very, very interesting tool for you to have going forward in your lives. And so basically we're combining these two, so it will both be interesting from an academic and intellectual perspective as well as for industry. There are a lot of companies out there right now who are trying very hard to hire people with deep learning skills, so I think hopefully this will help you both if you decide to work in an academic setting or in an industry setting. So basically, by the end of the lecture, you'll be able to build an algorithm that can kind of do what you can see here, which is it can interpret a sentence like, the first 15 minutes were dry, but by the end, I really enjoyed the lecture. And so the algorithm here learned what the grammatical structure of that sentence should be, and it assigned a label, which in this case happens to be a sentiment label, to every phrase of that sentence. And we'll basically give you an introduction of why the tree looks the way it does and why it assigns these positive and negative labels. So what's kind of amazing here is we did not have to eventually say that you have here a so-called contrastive conjunction named but really we just had to give it a lot of examples, and it was able to learn that really you can say the first part is negative, and the first 15 minutes, that is a neutral phrase, and then once you say they were dry, it becomes negative, and then you have a contrastive conjunction, which usually means that what comes afterwards matters more in the overall interpretation of the sentence. None of that we had to explicitly tell the algorithm, but it will be able to pick it up. And you will train algorithms that will be able to do that. And just as the sentence says, we'll start with a couple of boring logistics, but they're important for you to understand what's going on moving forward. And then we'll actually introduce in an almost ridiculously short amount of time natural language processing, deep learning, and the intersection of the two. So let's dive right in. My name is Richard Socher. I actually got a PhD from Stanford last year and happened to work on deep learning for natural language processing and a little bit of computer vision. I'm now the founder and CTO of MetaMind, which is a startup that also happens to do deep learning for those two application fields. We have three awesome TAs. Maybe they can wave their hands. We got Ian back there in the camera, Francois, and Peng right there. So we'll have 4 office hours at least. If the enrollment stays as high as it is, maybe we'll get a 4th one, because it'll be a lot of grading otherwise for you 3. I'm sorry we had to change the time and place. We originally had a room for only 60 people, and now we have 160 people, students enrolled, so we had to move to this. I hope it's not too bad. We'll try our best to actually record all the lectures on video and put those up. We still need to figure out if we can just put them on YouTube. We'll soon find out, hopefully this week. We will have a lot of problem sets, so basically 3 problem sets that will make you basically program these kinds of algorithms, and there will be a midterm and a final project. And in fact, the final project is something that you might want to start thinking about starting today. This is going to be an important part, and hopefully as we go over a bunch of applications, you'll see, you'll have some ideas on what you want to do. You can find our office hours and soon also office hour locations on the website. I'm sorry there will probably not be any course notes, but we will put up the slides and the videos shortly after, and if I'm on top of my things, maybe even before the lecture. So the grades, for those of you who take not a pass-fail, we basically have the 3 problem sets that count for roughly 1/2, and the midterm is 15%. In the midterm, we want to make sure you actually understand some of the very basics of the math behind what you're programming in the problem sets. The final project will be 40%. We have a milestone, and usually when you